Welcome to the Bergstrom Bunch podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Kathy.
And as we record, we are entering into the Christmas season.
Yes, we are.
And this is your holiday. This is
my holiday.
This is your holiday. This is.
But it always seems like you hit Thanksgiving and it's a sprint till Christmas. I mean, you're just running.
This is what a chunk of our garage is dedicated to.
That's true.
Yeah, your decorations.
That's true story.
So,
True story.
So here's and it's fun. We all love Christmas. We love the lights and the decorations
I just had you pick
presents.
Up more Christmas decorations for me for the
front yard.
So
we're excited. So, but here's the irony. Then this is what we've got to talk about. Is that at Christmas we're celebrating Jesus, the least materialistic, least consumeristic person in history, and we use that celebration as the time to get the economy back on track.
Uh-huh.
And like the average American spends about $1,000 on Christmas stuff this year, or is going to this year. This is the projection.
Yes.
And I mean,
that's why they start marketing it as early as
August
October,
is the earliest I've seen.
Yeah.
But we spend every year in America $6.1 billion on Christmas trees. So it's crazy. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so thinking about how do we balance that? We're celebrating Jesus by spending a ton of money. And I don't think Jesus is looking on saying, yeah, that's the way to celebrate me. And yet we all love the presents. And so I remember as a kid, we would get the Sears catalog, which was, you could use it as a booster chair. But they had this section, of course, dedicated to toys. Mm-hmm. And so my siblings and I would each take our turn, several turns, and we'd circle and put our initials by everything not everything we wanted, the things we had to have. Like, I cannot live without this Hot Wheels
I think that was
set.
most kids back then.
Yeah. So, okay, so did you have a toy that you needed, a thing that you needed when you were a kid?
Oh, my goodness. I'm drawing a blank on that. I will say once I hit my junior high school years, probably anything makeup.
A hair crimper.
Anything makeup related. And then, I had to have...
A hair crimper?
No, I had to have parachute pants once upon a time.
Oh, everyone needs
And
those.
I had to have a shirt that was just like Michael Jackson that had the zippers on either side. And I did get that. So
okay.
I actually dressed my dog up one time with some of those clothes and took pictures.
So for me, it was Voltron. So this is the precursor to Power Rangers, but way cooler. And it was these 5 like robotic cats. It's weird because I don't like cats, but they were like panthers and lions. They were cool. But they would all form into one big robot, kind of a transformer. And I had to have that, and I never got it. But I think for us as parents and thinking this through with our kids, of course, it's fun to see your kids open presents. Mm-hmm. It's fun to surprise them. It's fun to see their delight. But we took a trip when the kids were young to visit family. Yeah. And this particular trip, we had packed out our minivan with presents for everyone, with all our luggage. It was an 8-hour drive. And when we were there, the kids received a ton of presents.
Yes.
And it was the first time in my life I've seen kids actually get tired of opening presents.
Well, there were certain family members that it's all about more stuff, not the quality of the stuff. So some of the Barbies and other things that they received were like $5 Barbies.
Well, it wasn't Barbie. It was
the toys,
the knockoff brand.
The toys, were much cheaper quality, but in abundance.
Well, the kids, most of them, and their cousins included, fell asleep in the middle of opening presents.
Yes.
And they would open a present, and the present was taken away and stored in a trash bag.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't taken out of the package.
So they didn't know who even gave it to them.
The kids had piles of presents bigger than them.
Yeah.
And my whole thought is, how are we going to fit all of this in the minivan to go home?
Yeah.
But just to see the excess, and the kids weren't excited about it. The kids said, "Can we just go to sleep? Can we finish tomorrow?" Yeah. And I think that did something for us as parents.
Yeah, because my only thought was, this isn't what Christmas is about.
Yeah.
Is my kids falling asleep opening up presents rather than knowing the depth of the meaning behind the holiday.
I remember the drive home. We had to take all the packaging off the presents, knowing then that meant we could not return this stuff. But the kids were just packed in there. We had to, it was a puzzle fit to get them in. And a bathroom stop was horrendous because you had to like dig the kids out of the rubble and pull them out like we were rescuing them. Seatbelts they were the law, but we really didn't need them on that trip because they were just packed in tight. But we realized, look, this can't be the focus for our kids of Christmas.
Yeah.
We want them to realize that it's not about you. It's not about what you can acquire. Mm-hmm. It's not about the stuff.
Yeah.
And I think kids are so inundated with this idea that life is all about you. It's to make you happy. It's what do you want? You want to play, you want soccer and gymnastics and dance and okay, whatever makes you happy, we're going to do it all.
Sadly for some people, Christmas becomes such a burden because they feel like they're running, and in large part they feel like they don't have enough money to be able to buy gifts for everybody that they want to buy gifts for. So it can become a financial strain for some people. And it just robs the holiday of its meaning.
Well, I think even if it's yes, a lot of people it's a financial strain, but we know some people where it's not. And at the same time, it's an emotional strain because there is this obligation where there's this anticipation of Christmas, but when the season arrives, there's this dread that, one more party and trying to find one evening where we can sit down and enjoy rather than running at full speed through the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so that's the challenge. That's this tension that we're caught in.
Yeah.
And we want to do everything. We want to be at everyone's Christmas party and eat all the cookies and get all the stuff and buy all the presents. And yet, if that's all that our month is consumed by, we reach the end feeling just grateful that it's over, that we're done with it.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of dive in a little bit to how we sought to counterbalance that because it was such a burden and just even seeing our kids not know who the gifts came from and there tends to be a lack of gratitude then. And two, it just seems like each Christmas, the more economically we have, the more we feel like we have to outdo the previous Christmas. And so there are some people even out there that you think they have everything they need. What possibly could I get for them? And so just coming back to this idea of Christmas having a much deeper meaning than just receiving, but more so the joy of giving, not just giving gifts, but giving of yourself to people and spending time with each other and creating memories and traditions.
Yeah, so the crazy thing that we did is we actually stopped buying our kids presents.
Yes, we did. That was hard for me. That was really hard for me because my side of the family was what the holiday was all about.
Yeah.
And so, not buying our kids presents and instead moving into creating memories and traditions and letting the kids buy each other presents was
they still got presents. They still
got presents, just not from us.
So let's talk about what did we do instead of buying them presents. Or do you want to hit on a few of the things we did?
Oh, you're asking me. Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure if you were going to go right into it.
Pitching it to you.
Well, in particular, when we got the adopted kids, I really focused on the whole week that they were out of school, just having something every single day of the week. Yeah. So we have ornaments on our tree that are old because the kids would
ornament making night.
Yeah, because the kids would make ornaments. We had gingerbread castle making, not house, castle, because there were so many of us. And then we kind of turned that into a competition where we would have other families over to join us for that gingerbread castle.
And you would bake these huge sheets of gingerbread.
Yeah.
That
was actually kind of accidental at first, but and you had to get out.
It was a lot harder process than I thought.
Well, I couldn't even cut them with a regular knife.
This was not soft. Yeah, I actually had to bust out the power tools.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah,
when you're cutting gingerbread with a power tool, you know that it's probably not edible. But it sure worked for that castle.
It makes a good castle, yeah.
It does make a very good
Who eats
castle.
a gingerbread house anyway?
Well, I don't know.
You shouldn't. It sits there for a month collecting all the dust and flies, and then it's gross.
We spent a lot of money. I spent a lot of money on candy to decorate that. Oh, and the kids came up with some very creative things. Abominable snowman with marshmallows and,
moat, yeah.
Oh, they just went to town. And that was fun. But I will say all week long, I can think of one kid in particular that would kind of walk by and eat some candy off of the
kids
castle.
Don't care.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it was all edible anyway, but it. been sitting out.
You shouldn't.
But yeah. But then also we had a night, and we would always invite other people to join us during this time. We told the kids always invite your friends, and then of course we'd connect with family members too to meet up, but taking them to go see lights.
Yep.
And either it was through a neighborhood, or when we lived in Texas, the Woodlands, they would always light up the whole area in the mall area, and we'd get hot chocolate and go see all the lights and walk through. And so that was always a really fun time for the kids.
And when the kids were younger, we would have a party. It was especially for Brittany with all her friends.
Yes.
And we would go see the lights, but they would go caroling.
Yes.
Who does caroling anymore?
Oh my goodness!
And it wasn't a deal when the kids were young either,
No.
but we did.
We did.
Yeah.
It was just something to do, and it was fun for them. So I was happy to, not happy, I won't say, but willing to embarrass myself to be there with the kids. And then too, eventually we had them dress up in elf costumes and things as well.
I don't think they want to be reminded of that.
Well, probably not, but it was fun. They always looked forward to it.
When you say we had them dress up in elf costumes, I mean, let's be real. It was you.
It was me.
Oh, yeah, it was you.
And as they got older, they didn't like it quite as much. Especially when I reddened their cheeks a little bit with blush so that they would look like they had been out in the cold. But
by the time you're 16, you're
you're kind of done with it. But and then our Christmas costume party every year as well.
So that was a fun thing. We've done that several times, but it's unusual because I mean everyone dresses up for Halloween, and that's easy. I mean Halloween costumes are abundant, but a Christmas costume party that really drives the creativity. You can't just run out. You run out and grab whatever. I mean, Christmas narrows it down. Christmas costume party, but we had a lot of creative entries.
Well, we had a lot of creative entries, but also there was money to be won for getting creative, and so and you and I of course had to throw our names in the hat, not for the prize, but just to make sure everybody knows, hey, we're not just asking you to dress up, we're getting creative as well. So
we wanted people to know that if we were in the contest, you guys would have lost. So well, so here's the thing. So did our kids feel that they were missing out by not getting Voltron and the parachute pants for Christmas, or whatever the thing was?
I don't even know that most kids remember later on what most of the gifts that they even got at Christmas time, unless it was something very specific that they had wanted for a long time and had been asking for. But otherwise,
you know what gifts I remember the most as a kid? The ones that were the disappointment. The ones where it was anticipation. I wanted a remote control car, like all the kids at school had, and the kids at school had these.
So you felt like the Grinch had shown up and just kind of.
I got a remote control car that was a little Lamborghini. And you turned it on, and as soon as you turned it on, the wheels would spin. And then the remote had one button, one big orange button. And when you hit the button, the car would go backwards in a circle. And then when it was pointed in the direction you wanted to go, you release the button, and
I think I remember those cars.
I was so embarrassed. I couldn't bring it to school because it just.
You would have been better off building your own car.
Those are the gifts I remember, the ones that were the disappointment. But throughout the years, I have a hard time remembering all the gifts that someone wrapped and spent money on. And
well, and I will say this: it's never too late to create traditions. Sometimes we're just used to, hey, Christmas is we show up at someone's house, have meals together, and then open gifts, and then it's done. Either it's Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And for us, our traditions have kind of changed over the years because our kids are getting older. And we used to set it up where Thanksgiving, and we still do this, everybody's invited to Thanksgiving, but we also would have a big crowd at Christmas. And so we changed that to Christmas is our time away. So now we've been for the last several years going to a cabin and skiing, snowboarding, and just having that family time together.
Take a trip, get away, unplug.
But it's always been about making memories.
Yeah.
And having that time together where we're getting to know each other and interacting with each other, as opposed to just showing up, opening a gift, and leaving.
Well, there's something else we did when we stopped buying the kids presents, and we didn't just surprise them on Christmas Day. Surprise, no presents for you. They were part of the conversation months ahead of time because we didn't want Christmas to be a downer. Like,
no.
We don't want them crying on Christmas. And every Christmas we read the Christmas story. We take time as a family to reflect, to pray, to remember that, look, this is not a time about us. It is a celebratory time. But the other thing we did is we would get
we didn't just cut them off when it came to Christmas presents. We just didn't buy them as much. So there was still a time when they were younger in particular where they would get something from mom and dad, but it wasn't going to be a big elaborate gift.
But we started, we would get a gift catalog from Horizon, which they're similar to World Vision and Compassion, but you can sponsor a child in a third world country.
Yeah. And
they would send out a gift catalog. In the gift catalog, there were things you could donate money to that would buy a goat for a family in need, or a water buffalo, educational supplies, water purification supplies, a bike for an orphan worker. And so we would pass that around to the kids, and they would put their initials by what they were drawn to.
Yeah.
And whatever got the most votes, we would give that gift to a family in need that we would never meet. But hey, kids, instead of us getting all this stuff for ourselves, we're going to give to someone who needs. We're going to have a great time. We're going to have great laughter together. We're going to make some great memories, and we're going to serve a need that is beyond ourselves, because we want to understand that Christmas is not about us. It's about Jesus. And what Jesus would do is not load himself up with bling and with new sandals, but he would serve and give his life for others. And so we're going to honor him by doing what he would do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I just think of, for God so loved the world, he gave his only son. And so really that's Christmas, is giving. And God gave us the ultimate sacrifice and the ultimate blessing. But at the same time, that's meant to translate into us extending that as well to others. So one of the things we really tried to do with our kids, and of course, you're not perfect in it, but it's just to instill that gratitude for what you've received. And that carries, from Thanksgiving through Christmas, because every good gift comes from God, but also having them think through, this is a holiday season and there are other people that are in greater need than we are, and being very intentional when it comes to the holidays of including other people, or maybe even thinking about people who would just be really blessed by some sort of gift. Yeah. And so that was also something else that Kylie and I had started doing for a while, especially when she had her little baking business that she was working on. We would bake a lot of different items that, using recipes that we were kind of coming up with, and then I'd just give them away. And that's how we met a lot of our neighbors, actually. And, so just really trying to focus on what can we do to connect with people that are around us and create community through the holiday season, because that's what Jesus would have us do.
So I would say this, that if, as an individual or a family, that during the Christmas season, if you're not looking beyond yourself, if you're not looking for, hey, here's a family, rather than us loading ourselves up with presents, here's a family we can make Christmas good for. We can bring them a meal. We can buy gifts for their kids, like sponsor a family, serving at a soup kitchen. Like, if you're not doing that, you're really robbing yourself of an experience. You're robbing your kids of an experience, but you're also robbing them of a mindset.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of fear, like, hey, if I give my kids something less than last year, I'm going to have mutiny. My kids aren't going to love me. And I think the opposite's true. If you teach your kids that it's all about them, there's some mindset that you don't want them to have, that you are continually reinforcing in them.
Yeah, and sometimes it's accidental, when we have,
of course,
when we have a lot, then we want to bestow a lot. But I guess I just think that when it comes to especially the holiday season, that we want to make sure that we are seeing evidence in our children of just the value of generosity, and them being generous, and not having a mentality of entitlement and, hey, what is everybody else going to give me, but what can I give? And I wouldn't just say that that's true for kids. I think even as adults, we need to have the same mentality of where can I bless someone?
Yeah.
Where can I be a blessing?
So I just want to close out our time with a story that happened several years ago with a friend who needed help moving, and they found themselves needing to move pretty suddenly. And so I brought some of our kids and maybe a few other young people that were part of our community over. I think there were 5 of us to help this family move, and they had 2 teenage boys. Now, one of the teenage boys, his thing was shoes, and the dad would buy him $300, $400 shoes, that basketball shoes that the kid never wore. He just had stacks of these perfect shoes on shelves in his room. And so we show up to help this family move, and we're hauling stuff down, and the teenage boys were like, wait, are we going to have cable tonight? We're staying at the new house tonight? Yeah, is there going to be cable there? No. Well, what about our show? So we had carried the chairs down. The boys brought the chairs back up so they would have cable so they could watch TV that night. And that's the only moving they did, was they carried the chairs back up. And the dad was so frustrated. And like, these boys have been taught that life is about you, that we're going to give you what you want. We're going to fulfill your needs. We're going to buy you these shoes, because the dad would wait in line for hours when the new shoes came out and just kept loading them on his son. And the son's, you could see this attitude that life's about me, what's going to make me happy, that so much so they couldn't even serve themselves. They couldn't even carry their own stuff down to the trailer. Wow. Because they've been reinforced their whole life. It's all about me. Yeah. Rather than, hey, how can I make a difference? How can I serve? And that's the mindset that we see underscored at Christmas, that, okay, we're celebrating Jesus by making it all about you. Mm-hmm. And that's the irony that has irked us, once our eyes were open to that, we knew we had to make a change.
Well, I think we forget that the word holidays comes from the Old English, which is holy days. And so these days are meant to be set apart. They're meant to be for something bigger than ourselves. And we unfortunately have lost that over time. But that's where I think that as parents and as people in general, that we need to focus on recapturing that. And I'll just share one quick story of my own, because as you mentioned your story, I thought of one myself. And I don't know where this came from, because I didn't grow up going to church or anything else, but I just had a lot of compassion for people growing up. And my parents were they were poor. And so anyway, we received a couple bags of clothes that were like hand-me-down clothes from, I don't know where they came from, but most of them didn't fit me. And a lot of them were girls' clothes. And of course, my brother Rob wasn't going to dress up like a girl. And so, but I had a couple friends that I went to school with that lived a little bit of a distance from where I was at. And they had a lot of kids at home, and they didn't have much of anything either. And I just remember, and this was around Christmas time, because it was a little cooler, and we lived in Florida, but it was still a little cooler. So
below 70.
Yeah, below 70 for sure, yeah. But I just remember grabbing my friend and saying, hey, let's take these bags to your neighbor's house. Like, take them to your house, and then you guys go through them, and then we'll take them to some of the neighbor's house, because she knew those people over there too. And so we did that, and it was almost like we were Santa Claus, because we were holding these bags over our shoulder, walking through the neighborhood. But I just remember getting so fulfilled by that. And even though that wasn't something necessarily that was instilled in me by my parents, I think that we all have a natural bent towards certain things. And if that bent is cultivated, if we see in our children, hey, you are a little bit selfish, then that's where you got to combat that and counterbalance it with some other serving opportunities, whether it's, giving out turkeys at Thanksgiving at some of these vet hospitals or vet areas where they, serve homeless people and whatnot. But then also at Christmas time, where you're just instilling or asking your children, okay, so who stands out to you? Who do you know that is in need and would really appreciate receiving something that they might not get anywhere else? And that could be a gift that's a material gift, but it also could just be taking that person out to lunch or, dinner, or just having coffee with someone and spending that time. Yep. So anyway.
So let me just leave us with this verse as we head into the Christmas season. This is from Jesus in Luke 12. He said, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." So I think we'll just close it out there.
And don't we know that, though, because we had many, many years of no abundance of possessions. So,
but yeah, take some time to make some experiences, serve some people around you.
And create some traditions and memories.
Create some memories. Yep. Hey, thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. And as always, we would appreciate it if you got something out of this, give it a share, give it a like, give it a comment, and help us spread the word. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you again real soon.